Welcome to World Weavers. I, of course, am your benevolent Dungeon Master, Puck, as always. And we are going to go on a world-building journey together. I know some people out there, fresh DMs or new DMs out there in the world, you might think to yourself, I can't homebrew, I can't world build. That looks like a lot of work. It looks really hard. You gotta come up with stuff. I'm not an author. I'm not an artist. That's okay. I'm none of those things either. I just make stuff up on the fly, and today we're going to go on a journey on making a world and world building, creating things. If you haven't joined us for our past episodes, we started with our world map here, and then we started building our individual continents one by one, filling them out. We started with the wonderful land of Pyloria, as you can see here with its multicolored trees, its ancient ogre ruins, and its swamp halflings, and its northern orc tribes.
I like these swamp halflings.
Right?
What defines a swamp halfling over the regular friendly kind?
Well, they have some different things. These halflings are particularly equipped to utilize the unusual toxic soil. So you'll notice that the shorelines in Pyloria are purple, and the trees have changed different colors as well. There's some kind of ancient goo in the ice caps in Pyloria, and as they've melted and receded, and as they go into the rivers and the water supplies here that create these swamps, they definitely have an effect on the vegetation and the animals and the creatures that live here. However, because the halflings and the ogres and the orcs and everything have lived here for so long, they're seemingly immune to it. And that's why the land itself hasn't seen any new settlers. However, the halflings that live here, they primarily go with farming and fishing and that kind of thing, but they make their living by extracting these toxins and producing various potions that they then sell at their port safely to other travelers. So they're brewers for the most part.
Not at all, because, you know...
Like kombucha brewers?
Kind of.
Purple trees and had to figure out a reason to...
And that brings me to the rest of the people that are here. Our good friend Adam Lawson is back from yesterday, creator of Asunder and director of a lot of cool stuff that I've been watching over the years, to be honest.
Well, that is good.
Like, when I made my game store, I stocked my shelves based on the first season of Tabletop.
That's amazing. Amazing. No, in fact, it got to the point, Amazon would call us after season 1 and said, hey, can we get your list of games you're going to play next season because everything's sold out?
Oh, well.
I mean, I've done a lot of work for Hasbro and for Dungeons & Dragons, and they're talking about the Betrayal of the House on the Hill, right?
Yeah.
And that game had sold 60,000 units over the course of its first year and a half, 2 years out, right?
Yeah.
For an indie game, that's amazing. For a Hasbro game, that's not, right? After Tabletop, and on Tabletop, they sold 160,000 the following year and stayed around that for the next 2-3 years after.
Betrayal is... God, I love that game.
Oh, it's so much fun.
I know, it's a spectacular game as well, and which I think is why it had amazing staying power. But yeah, it was the way that people got connected to games, right? Yeah. And especially at a time when there wasn't much online that was, somebody's playing games. It wasn't really a thing as much per se, 6 or 7 years ago when season 1 of Tabletop launched, and now it's exploded, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Tabletop influenced the way I ran my shop in 2 ways. Number 1, it influenced my stock, and number 2, it made me implement that I would play games, like I would have demo copies of all the games in my shop, and I would play around with customers if they wanted to know how I played before they bought it. Because that's what I found the value in it. It was so valuable to see somebody play the game and see how it runs and how it goes through and everything like that. Not only was it entertaining, but it was good to get a good grasp on the rules.
Right?
Yeah. Well, that makes it, because you go to the store and you're like, board game. And you read the back of the box and it tells you what's included and a paragraph about the game, and it's like, this tells me nothing.
That doesn't tell me a damn thing.
Right. I don't know if I'm gonna play this, but it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
and
right.
I agree. That was the way to do it, and it happened to be done with sort of the best celebrity you could, with Will, and Felicia would join us from time to time. It's just the cast of characters that we could get together.
A lot of good folks.
It was really fun, right? And And then I think that, we're kind of at that camp, and then, later on, CR came to Geek and Sundry as well, and then that kind of brought, live streaming RPGs into a real thing.
Do a whole big deal.
Money at it. Yeah. So I felt good being a part of that arena from the, I wasn't game creating for it, but I was directing and producing all the TV around it. And it was really exciting.
Yeah, that's incredible stuff.
It was good.
I love it. And I love your new game. Look, I'm gonna tell you, Adam, I've never backed a Kickstarter before. 100%. Legit. I have never backed a Kickstarter before. Because I have a philosophy. I don't like to pay for unfinished stuff. but I did back yours.
Wow. Now I am truly humbled. Now I am truly humbled.
Well, I'm going to humble Sean for a second. Sean, you didn't change the name of the stream.
Oh, whoops. That's my bad. He was on my docket, but I got back, I started talking, and you know how I am.
I know. Yes, I do know.
You know how you are.
I started talking, and then that was the end of that. But here, I'll do that right now. While I'm changing this, I wanted to discuss something. And this may be a treat for Sky, and I'm interested to think about what you think about this as well, Adam. So, we're going to be working on Catlandia today. Which is the working title for that little landmass that we've created.
Yeah.
I had an idea the other night of who might be the one of the ruling races in this land. Imagine, if you will, like Tabaxi, but awakened undead.
Yeah. Wow, so undead cat people is what we're talking about here.
And I'm thinking, this might be leaning into it too much, but maybe it's Egyptian themed. Maybe we got undead cat mummies that have, a ruling nation here.
That is an insane shift from last week when we said there would be absolutely no Tabaxi on Catlandia.
Okay, but this is different.
What if Catlandia actually is full of dog people?
We were
thinking about that too.
Yeah, that's what we were gonna have.
No cats. I mean, Catlandia is the name, and they hate it, or maybe there's not that it's dogs, and it's it's snake people, and they're just like, how could you name this after cats?
Well, we also have Hairball Island, which you see would be
okay.
That little offshoot.
Yeah.
Oh,
or maybe is it if you're going with this Egyptian theme, maybe it's humans, right? But they worship cats, right? And there is cat deity among them.
Oh, maybe this isn't a natural. Maybe this isn't a natural landform. Maybe they worked to make it look like this.
Nice.
I think I think if we do it like that, it has to be that.
All right, look.
See,
I'm open to all kinds of ideas. This is just something that I started thinking about.
Also, Catlandia in Incarnate right now looks horrible.
Yeah, no, it looks messed up.
You gotta get rid of all the shading.
Here's the thing that happens with Incarnate. Because a cool feature of it is after you create your world map, you can isolate a section of the world map and then build it out to enlarge it so that you can then modify that map in Closer. What it does is it removes your bottom layer and your background layer.
Yeah.
It makes it look like this. So I'm gonna fix that, and while we do that, let's discuss more who lives here, because that is always the key component that we work with.
Yes, is the key component. So what do you kind of see with this landmass? It seems like it's deserty with these couple of trees. Or what's
that's kind of like the look that we've gave it. I think we were thinking that this place was kind of tropical, but has these blighted portions on it. Yeah. But again, I mean, we could probably modify that in the Closer view. I'm open to all kinds of things.
Desert area though in your world. Do you have any sort of desert? Because could we foresee this?
Yeah, we've got on our big place Honkin' Tonkin,
yes.
which is
Honkin' Tonkin.
the big old Honkin' Tonkin continent.
That's not what I want.
There's
a working title because we were
I don't know. We might stay with Honkin' Tonkin.
I love it because it is H''NKN and then space T''NKN because originally we were before we titled it, we were the Big Honkin' Continent.
Yeah.
And then we renamed it the Big Honkin' Tonkin Continent, and then from there we just broke it down to Honkin' Tonkin, and we were something about that we loved. Oh.
I don't know what. I think we'd been recording for almost
been
2
a
hours
while.
at that point, so we were just like, whatever.
Down south, yeah.
It was a big continent.
It was a big.
What if maybe in Catlandia, maybe what's the story is that it's actually a race of bird people, and they hunt the cats, right?
Oh,
and so it's a really predator prey situation, and so maybe they're winged people, talons, and they scoop up these cats, right? And so like the Catlandia is named after the prey, right? And maybe these cats are sentient, but they're on all fours, they communicate telepathically, but really the frightening thing are these bird people who swoop down and eat them up. And it's, really like the talking face of it is the bird people that eat the cats. What if we go the other way?
Oh,
the
man.
cats are at the top of the food chain, they're kind of down a step or two.
I think that's my favorite so far.
That's some horrifying stuff, man. I'll dig it.
As you were holding your cat there in your hands.
Yeah,
right?
No, he likes to come up and say hello in opportune times.
But really not inopportune, because internet love cats.
Yeah, internet
Really
loves
do.
cats. That's true. That is a thing that happens. All right.
I love cats. Because then maybe what you have then, right, is that you have this, it ended up being called Catlandia from, maybe that's the slang word for it, right, from people outside of the world, right? Because it seems to be flooded with these cats, but it's really just the food source.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
I'm
great.
down with that. Let's open up the docket.
Gotta get these notes in here.
Absolutely.
The Arakakra.
I'm not going to try and spell that live on stream. We've established.
It's AARA.
Okay, here, hang on. AARAK.
OCRA.
OCRA. All right.
I love the idea that they're awakened cats. I think that's super cool. I love anything with like any kind of awakened mind deal. Like I always end up going for some like level of psychic ability with stuff because I always think that's super cool. That was why I loved that group mind concept in Asunder. I was like, oh, so cool,
That cool mental
telepathy. So you feeling
stuff.
like these cats have some sort of shared mind? Is that it?
Like hive mind cats?
Could you have hive mind cats?
I mean, you could have, theoretically, you could have hive mind.
Pride mind.
So if they're hive mind cats, so maybe they're not actually, intelligent in the sense of like a person that you can have a conversation with, they're not at that level. They're still maybe more in the cat level intelligence, but they have this hive mind, and as a result can mass an amazing attack or swarm, and they can communicate across the whole island.
Because that's interesting, because that makes it so that like the bird people, you have to be like a good hunter.
Yeah, like it's treacherous.
You can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. You got to be hardcore. And then the bird people, if you're saying with this jungle, are they colorful? Do you see them as these are a colorful group of winged birds, or are they like these are like green and they kind of match with the scenery, and they kind of live in the canopies above, right, and in the hills. But the cats are also canny too, right? They can sneak up and pack, and they can have revolt, if you will, but it's because the bird people are intelligent, like on a human level, and the cats are more hive mind animal.
Right. More primal. More.
Yeah, they're more primal.
I also love this concept because I like that your players could show up, and depending on where they come in at, they might find one side or the other more appealing, like off the bat, because like obviously if players are like, oh, the poor cats, like that's obviously what a lot of them are going to be like, we can't, these are horrible bird people. But maybe if they met a bird person who introduced them to the island, they would come to understand the other side of that.
I think these bird people are gorgeous. I'm thinking beautiful, tropical looking birds. I think they've got colorful feathers. I think the more prestigious a hunter you are with them, the more colorful your feathers get. There's like a thing that happens that like after you've made certain, like if you have the most colorful, most vibrant plumage, it's a sign that you've been blessed by whatever hunter god they worship in hunting these other creatures.
Yeah, I like that. So maybe it's almost sort of like, there are these deep oranges and reds and purples that are on their wings, right? And so that's like the sign of maturity, is what you'd say?
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, that's cool. So maybe they start out sort of a green-colored feather, and then it expands as they age and mature and progress. That's cool.
Yeah, and like
So kind of like with an elk that has lots of antlers when they've made it a while.
Yeah,
They have lots of colors when they've made it a while, if you will.
absolutely. When they've been around for a while, they've seen a few games. You know, they got experience out in the field. I think we should absolutely.
I
deal
like
with
this,
that.
but I also like, in my mind, I also like the idea that there's this little like subsection of Kinku that
Oh,
are just,
maybe they live in the dark portions.
yeah, they're like this subsection of like these little rogue Kinku birds running around.
Just on the outskirts.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Look, I'm gonna go all
Like a
weeaboo on you
secret
guys.
Society of Kinku.
What if we take it as kind of like, why don't we take it as a kind of samurai ninja style, right? Whereas
Okay.
these vibrant plumage birds are kind of our samurai daimyo class, and the kenku are our ninja class that have kind of
Okay.
branched off and oppose the larger class, but you know, use very different tactics and kind of a set of ideals.
Do they still hunt the cats, or do they?
I think
are
they
kind of a
probably do
third
because they have
party?
to.
Mhm.
But I
That's the
think
food
maybe
source,
the,
right there.
yeah,
The cats are the
yeah,
food
only
source.
what you need,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, well, maybe like the ninja types, if you will, they're in a place where there's also too rebellion in the ranks, right? Because as you said, people mature, people have different levels of status. There's always going to be somebody that rebels.
oh,
right?
absolutely.
And so this like ninja class, are they like for hire, or are they have a real political agenda?
I think they have like a society. I think it's like a society of rebels, and they've just taken up residence in these darker portions, and as a result of that, their plumages have become black.
So are they trying to take down the rest of them, or are they like the other bird?
I think
people,
they're
or are
trying to
they
restructure it. I think that and maybe like they're from the lowest end of the society. Like I like the idea of the plumage being a sign of status. So if you
maybe-
have
No,
one
I
of
think
these-
so.
Yeah.
Peacock-ish, if you will.
Yeah,
Yeah, so maybe plain colored birds, like ones that don't have any additional like vibrant hues to them. Like you could even say like it could just be as simple as, you know, if you have that plainer plumage overall,
yeah,
Yeah.
then that is something that kind of gets you more ostracized, and maybe
Yeah.
that is what pushes you to this other society where it's like, hey, you know, we don't believe that's how anything should be, and you know,
more
that's how
more
they-
of them branch off and they go to like these portions here, in these darker portions in the tips, and maybe in
Yeah,
those portions
I
like,
like
it is
that.
rougher,
Yeah.
but they've got a different world altogether.
Yeah, I like that. That makes sense.
I mean, we gotta have a big,
And then
we gotta have a giant
add
tree in each of these
Trees,
lands.
yeah, we do have to have our
well,
giant.
it
tree.
feels like if there's a giant tree, it's like where the bird people nest, right?
Yeah, like I want
And
that to be
so,
their
like,
home.
Yeah, and maybe that should be where that's the brightest and most colorful live in like this great tree, right?
All right, let's figure out which kind of tree we want to use for that. We got this one we haven't used yet.
That is a nice hardy thick tree.
Yeah,
That's a thick bird tree.
The straight up
Yeah,
world
but it
tree.
needs
It needs some branches though.
a lot of branches for it to make sense.
Yeah.
Could we take one of the other trees and make them bigger?
Absolutely,
like I kind
we
of like
could.
because none of them have like a ton of like
I mean,
outreach branches.
What about
other
these
than
guys? Let's see, because this is a big branch tree.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
thick.
That's the one I was
It's
kinda looking at,
verdant.
too.
Let's
Look at that. We'll look at the different stamps and let's see if they're.
yeah. Let me bring
kind of
blow them up.
spreads out.
Just you
Are you
wait
gonna
and
put
see.
a bunch of them together? Or
No, I'm
something?
gonna expand our options.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So many more trees.
So many more trees.
So many more trees, and some of these will end up being larger now.
Okay.
We've got the cherry
There's
blossom
straight up
trees.
jungle trees.
Let's try the jungle trees. Those got a lot of branches. Oh yeah. Oh, now we're
it's
talking.
So big.
Okay. Nah, not enough branches.
Yeah, there we go. Well, because it feels like right that we need that bird like there's the nesting and
Right.
traveling tree to tree, like those are their cities, right, so to speak.
Absolutely. I don't like
Yeah, I'm
that.
just imagining a bunch of birds trying to live in a palm tree. Like this is my leaf.
Get
Stay on your
off my leaf!
So where are we gonna put this? Right in the middle? Are we
Like-
gonna put it off on that island?
I don't know.
Like,
Where do we want?
See-
Like, where do we feel like this sits? Does it sit on the forehead? Does it sit? Where does it go?
I almost want to say where that nose is because
Right?
it's like you're close to water, so
Yeah.
it's like it's got plenty of like resource.
And like
It's
the
also
the
kind of-
roots kind of dip in on all sides.
Oh, I like this.
And it's also like, if this is our, if this is our main world tree that you could theoretically travel to the other places with in the world.
This is the dealie.
And it makes sense because the tail would therefore be like the capital of the outer society.
Yeah, so
Oh, it's huge. And I like the idea of there being like these smaller versions around it. Yeah.
But still part of it, maybe, like it's one thing.
Maybe these bird people are the only ones that kind of have figured out the secret of this. Maybe they're the only ones that know how these trees work. And that's why they've kind of grown these smaller versions around it to make their homes in.
So
What do we think?
Like they have some like people who know the value of traveling to different places and being able to have those like the resources of that mobility.
Well, this is the only race that we've created that lives in one of these.
That's
The
true.
hags
Well,
meet
no, the hags.
in the
the
one.
hags
They don't live in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
They
hags
meet in
in Pyloria, they meet in it, but they don't live there. Like these guys live
Right.
here.